So if you look at my team, you're going to notice that there are some shaded colors on the outside of almost all of my cards. And what those are parallels. So those of you who are new to MLB The Show 24, what a parallel is it's an upgrade to any card in Diamond Dynasty. How it works is you just play with the player and you get parallel XP. Think of it as an XP reward path for individual players. So you just play with them in any mode, and you'll get parallel XP, which is PXP. And the more PXP you get, the more upgrades you get. So when you get to the level 1 parallel, you get 500, 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, 8,000. And then when you get to 8,000 PXP, you get a +5 to all your attributes. And every tier, you get +1. So +1 is for the first tier, +2 is for the second tier. You get the point. But today, I'm going to be going over the fastest ways to superfactor cards and get parallel XP in MLB The Show 24 Diamond Dynasty. So this first method is a lot better for pitchers than hitters. We're going to go to events. I'm just going to forfeit this run. I don't really care. We're going to go to events and we're going to build a team. This method in events is so much better for pitchers. So what you're going to want to do is, this is just my normal team. Let's just pretend that like I'm trying to get PXP with these guys, which I mean, I technically am, but I mean, I don't really like care too much right now. But anyway, let's just say I'm like trying to get a superfractor Brandon Webb. He's already parallel 4, 19 out of 127. Pretty cool. But yeah, so we set our team with the guys who we want parallel. For pitchers in events, this is by far the fastest way to get pitchers parallel. So if we look at a pitcher, let me go back to my team now. If we look at the pitcher parallels, you're going to notice that it is significantly juiced compared to hitters, like 40 per inning, 20 per win, 20 per save, 25 for complete game and shutout. Naturally, pitchers are a lot easier to parallel. That's why you see in missions where if pitchers require more PXP than a hitter in a mission, that's why, because it's easier. But anyway, for this method, what you're going to want to do is you're going to choose one pitcher who you want to superfractor. You're going to go into events. You're going to put him on your team. You're going to play the game with that pitcher. And then after every game, you're going to forfeit your entry, re-enter with the same team, and then play with the same pitching card. You're probably thinking, why do I have to forfeit and re-enter after every single game? Well, the reason that you're going to want to do that is so that the stamina will replenish. If you use a starting pitcher in an events game and you don't reset your entry and you play another game, he's not going to have full stamina right away. If you reset your entry after that game that you just played every single time, that one pitcher that you want to get superfractored is going to have full stamina every single game you play in events, and therefore meaning you can use him in every single game, speeding up the process. For hitters in events, it's not nearly as efficient as pitchers. Basically, what you're going to want to do is just put the hitters that you want to parallel at the top of your lineup and just try to hit well with them. So let's say I want to superfractor Corey Seager. I will just put him lead off. Just rank your lineup in order of prioritizing PXP. So let's say I wanted Corey Seager to get the most PXP and then Arenado to get the least PXP. That's how I would organize my lineup. Now, ultimately, with events, there is one caveat. There are restrictions in events. You can't use every single card in the game in every event. There are team building strategies in these events. Like, for example, for this event, you can only use cards that are new card series and in Team Affinity, live series, and captains. So if it's outside of it, then you're just out of luck. Ultimately, if the cards that you want to parallel are not eligible for the event, you can do the same thing in Conquest. When you're playing Conquest, the stamina resets after every game. So if you play a game in Conquest and then, like, let's say I take over the Blue Jay stronghold and then I go and try to take over the Diamondback stronghold, I use the starting pitcher to face the Blue Jays, he's going to have full stamina for every single game. The stamina does not track in Conquest. Now in mini seasons, it's different, because mini seasons in Conquest, you're basically doing the same thing. You're playing 3-inning games. But in mini seasons, it does track stamina. So Conquest over mini seasons, every single day when you're trying to get PXP for pitchers that aren't eligible for the event. Now back to events, you're probably thinking, well, if I'm using a starting pitcher every single 3-inning game in Conquest, how is it any different than in events? here's why events is the best way for starting pitchers. So let's go back. God, I'm maneuvering through all the screens. Let's go back to my rotation and let's look at the parallel screen again. So you'll notice at the bottom there's 1.0x PXP for Conquest, Play vs. CPU, and mini seasons, and 1.5x PXP for ranked events and Battle Royale. Basically what that means is you get a boost. You are going to be getting more PXP by 1.5. So let's say you throw 3 innings in an online game, and that's all you do. You don't get anything else. You're not going to be getting 120 PXP. You're going to be getting 180 PXP because you take the 120 and then you multiply it by 1.5 because you played in events. So that's why events is a lot quicker, because you get a parallel XP boost. Now there's another boost too in events that you could get in Conquest if you choose, but it's not guaranteed. Events are most of the time on All-Star difficulty, and they have an extra boost to PXP based on the difficulty that you play. If it's the same as previous years, All-Star difficulty, you multiply by 1.35. So if you do the math, if you multiply 1 by 1.5 and then again by 1.35, so I could have just skipped the 1, you're going to be getting double PXP by playing online and on All-Star, which means you're going to be getting double the PXP that you would be getting in an offline game, assuming that you're not playing on All-Star. If you're playing the offline game on All-Star, you're only getting a 1.35 extra boost, but it's still huge because you get a huge boost to your PXP when you're playing online on All-Star than offline on All-Star. And this is also applicable for hitters. You're going to be getting the same boost for hitters when you play online games compared to offline games. So keep that in mind too. Ultimately, hitters are harder to get PXP in this events like strategy that I have. Pitchers are so easy though. I mean, you're getting double PXP and you're playing every single game. By far the fastest way to get pitchers parallel. So you're probably thinking, what is the best way to get hitters to PXP? So I'm going to show you guys. We're going to go into Play vs. CPU. You could pick really any team and any difficulty. I always do the Rockies on the road because you play in Coors Field and they suck. If you're not good at the game, just put it on Rookie. If you're good enough where you can kill All-Star, go to All-Star. I typically go to All-Star just so you get the bonus. I'm just going to do it on Rookie for this one instance. If you're good enough to kill the computer on All-Star with your God Squad, do All-Star because you get the 1.35 boost like I've said before. For this method, you're going to want to pick the pitcher that you want to get PXP with the most. Ultimately, you're not prioritizing your pitchers in this method. You're prioritizing your hitters. But let's say I want to get Jack Flaherty PXP the most out of all of them. I'm just going to pick him. Like I said earlier, order your lineup in order from the cards that you want to get the most PXP to the cards you want to get the least. So let's just say I want Corey Seager to get the most and Arenado to get the least. We're going to go into a Play vs. CPU game, and I'm going to show you this method. So basically, you're just going to hit. You're just going to hit with your cards. You're going to try to hit home runs. If you can't hit home runs, you're going to try to hit triples or doubles or singles. Just hit and try to score runs and just tally stats with these guys. Now, there is one caveat, of course, just like events. It's Corey Seager, dude. Okay, really. Anyway, when you're playing against the CPU and you're trying to get PXP, it will not count unless you get to the 9th batter in your lineup. Okay, I'm just swinging. Okay, this is embarrassing. I'm just swinging away. It will not count until you get to your 9th batter. So if you want to get PXP with this method, you can't quit the game until you get to your 9th batter. So basically, if you have like only 3 players that you're trying to get PXP for, just put them 1, 2, 3, and then hit until you get to your 9 hitter, and then you quit the game, and you do that over and over and over. Now, the reason why I say you want to pick the pitcher that you want to get the most XP with is so that if you don't get to your 9th hitter in the first inning, which is very common, you can just pitch that inning with someone who you want to get stats with instead of just someone null. Now, if you're grinding individual stats, like if you need to get home runs or extra base hits, you can just quit whenever and it'll count. But if you're grinding PXP, you cannot quit until you get to the 9th hitter. So that's what I would be doing here. I'm probably just going to quit after this at bat. This dude can't throw a strike. Aaron Judge, see ya. Okay. But you get the point. Let's say I was trying to get PXP with Aaron Judge. There, I just hit a 2-run home run. I go all the way to the 9th hitter, and then once I'm at the 9th hitter, I quit the game and I get my PXP. One last thing to note about the play versus CPU method is if you're trying to get to your 9th hitter, you don't have to do it in the first inning. Kind of like what I said earlier is if you don't get to your 9th hitter in the first inning and you pitch an inning, like that's fine. Just if you don't get to your 9th hitter, just pitch the second half of the first and then get to the 9th hitter in the second. If you don't get to the 9th hitter in the second, just pitch the bottom half of the second and then go to the third. Doesn't matter how many innings you go into, you just have to get to the 9th hitter for it all to count. So yeah, that is going to be it for this video. If you guys are new here, follow me on all my social medias, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and most importantly, make sure you subscribe to me on YouTube. So yeah, see you guys in the next one. Peace.